national conclave. Our theme for this session, as you have been told earlier also in the inaugural session, is workforce management. So the main challenge here we have is that what will be the changes, etc., which will be happening in workforce. In the mix of workforce, the challenges that we'll have in retaining the talent, getting the talent, etc., and how do we really engage with our talent and the people in general, so that we are able to deliver quality of services to our customers in a continuous manner.
Mr. Kaushal, your voice is breaking.
That will be a challenge. So there are, yeah, okay. Okay. I'll try to see, can I switch off my video for a while so that I can be...
No, it's no, okay. Now it's okay. Now it's okay. Please proceed, sir.
Okay. So managing diversified workforce in the fast changing economic and social environment is always a challenge, and currently it is changing very fast. So it has become more of a challenge. We have in fact 4 major issues around which we will be discussing. First one is, what are the emerging paradigms of human resource planning, right? The second one is that in the context of flexible terms of employment, in fact, a whole variety of the terms of employment are being considered nowadays. Mishra, Ms. Rajkamal Vempate, and Mr. Amarnath Verma. To briefly introduce them, I would like to just, start off, and if it is all right, can I have this ladies first, and I can give the preference.
Most definitely, most definitely.
Give us once in a while, otherwise we have been very sort of,
No, go by the technology team order. Don't change. Don't change. No stereotyping. No stereotyping.
Yeah, actually chivalry and all of that in a gender neutral
world. Yeah, let's have fun. Why?
Extinguished.
Yeah, we'll go by the technology team. Okay. Yeah, whichever comes first.
They projected Sanjay Mishra's.
Yes, Sanjay Mishra. We'll go with Sanjay Mishra. So,
yeah,
IT technology team, can we have a slide of Sanjay Mishra?
Yeah.
The technology team.
Yeah. Okay, so Sanjay Mishra is Vice President HR, and he is with Schneider Electric. Mr. Mishra's work experience spans different industries, sectors, steel, power equipments. He has worked in an Indian domestic organization also. So he brings with him a variety of experience. And just to tell you that currently...
Sir, we have to go fast. Go fast, sir.
He manages HR function for Schneider's supply chain for as many as 28 countries or so. We have Ms. Rajkamal Vempate. She's the CHRO of Axis Bank.
Can we change the slide, please?
Yeah. She brings with her varied experience
from the taxi world. So how do I summarize it? Now, that's the business context. And COVID has brought in, I would just put it in a very simple way, a very unique way, which I started using it, and it's being used now. People call it new normal. I call it usual unusual, right? So we have to live with it. So the way I see it, 2020 looks like 2030. It's accelerated so fast. And in this connected and digital world, we have adapted our response to it. I will summarize it by saying that the communication is WhatsApped, memories are Instagrammed. I call it, because I'm based out of Bangalore, I have placed so many global roles from Bangalore. Jobs are Bangalored, or I would say it's moved from headquarter base to multi-hub, and life itself is Facebook, right? We can go on and we can keep adding to is that talent is Uberized and knowledge is Google, blah, blah, blah. So in this present context, everyone, everything is transparently and completely connected, and in a world where the scarcity and abundance coexist. And mostly we have been using the frameworks for workforce planning, for various HR processes and systems, which was based on assumptions that knowledge is limited, scarce rather, talent is limited, career options are limited, and something very important, that privacy is still there. And this brings in that I call the connected world as the naked world, because that brings in a lot of leadership change that needs to, everything is open and transparent. In this context, we're discussing something very, very important, that's on the workforce management. And without further spending time on setting the context of this, I look towards Mr. Verma. Mr. Verma works in a mammoth organization, NTPC. When I was in Alstom, we used to go and knock their door for projects. So I know what it means to be working in NTPC. It's such a big organization. And, you are into utility sector, mostly essential services. How do you see this workforce management evolving in an environment like NTPC over a period of time? And do you see some change because of this COVID? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mishra, for a wonderful context setting. And let me, at the outset, thank Dr. G.P. Rao and Mr. Kaushal for having invited me here. So the topic for the conclave is the resilient talent management, and the topic for the session would be workforce management. But I would start with the original concept of the resilient talent management. And the resilient, from the meaning of it, is the ability to bounce back after a great crisis. And what better crisis and what intense crisis than the COVID itself. From 25th of March, when the first national lockdown was announced, the message right from the Honorable Prime Minister to everybody down below was to stay home inside. And with that came the biggest challenge for NTPC, is to ensure that the people remain inside, and for that to remain that to ensure the continuous supply of power, so that the electricity is available to everybody to remain inside. And that was the biggest challenge for all of us in NTPC. So when I very vividly remember when the lockdown was announced, the uncertainty was so severe that in the state of in the city of Delhi, there was nobody, there was no movement at all. And when we sat in the top management meeting as to what is to be done to ensure that the power generation is there for every household in the country, we ensured that the functioning is shifted from the office workplace to home space. And for that, we started taking help of platforms like MS Teams and the Zoom platforms. But later on, we switched over to Microsoft Teams. And that was the biggest challenge. And let me tell you that our top management ensured that there was complete dialogue, complete communication with each and everybody. And we ensured that the SOPs, the standard operating practices given by the government of India and the state governments, are strictly adhered to. And that thereby we ensured that the supply of power is ensured right from the word go, from 25th March onwards. And on 5th April, there was another challenge thrown by the Honorable Prime Minister to remain to keep the power completely shut down from 9 p.m. to 9:10. And there was a shortfall of artificial shortfall of about 35,000 megawatt in the national grid. And to sustain the grid, there was a lot of coordination to be done from all the power utilities. And at that point of time, I saw how the power sector, power ministry, all the power sector combined together to ensure that the power remains there available and the grid is not put to any kind of inconvenience. So having said all these things, why I'm talking about these things, that this was the kind of uncertainty, and nobody knew what is going to emerge and how intense it's going to be. Initially, we thought that the problem would be for 1 month, 2 months, but later on we understood what are the impacts of this thing and what are the measures to be taken at the stations, at the project sites. So to keep our workforce going and to ensure that there is no problem to them, we had to enforce and ensure a great deal of standard operating practices, both for the townships as also for the plants. So to my mind, the challenge of ensuring the workplace management was very big, because we could not have afforded to ensure 100% working from home, because our the job required that at least some people who are essentially required to work in the operation and maintenance side are going to the places, and for their movement from residences to the workplace, and to ensure that their proper health and hygiene conditions are there. So we had to take a lot of steps, which we did that. And apart from that, we had to, as a socially responsible organization, we had to interact with a lot of organizations in the neighborhood to ensure that we could provide necessary healthcare facilities to them. So why I'm telling these things, that this was the uncertainty and we did not know. And in that context, when we talk about the workforce management, let me share with you, there are a lot of challenges in the times of uncertainty as to how do we keep our workforce going. There are certain number of people who are going to work from home, but there are many people who are going to be requested to work at the real life work situation. So we have to create a hybrid kind of workplace and to maintain equilibrium. So we have created a sort of structure in the organization to ensure that there is team A which is always there to maintain the operation and maintenance, and there is a backup team, and then there is a third team which is working from back end, and it's giving support. All the service functions are required to work from home, and they were allowed to work from home, so that there is a constant integration between these three groups. So this was the biggest challenge, and I think to my mind, in the troubled times, communication to all the stakeholders was the biggest weapon in this time, and keep them motivated, keep everybody motivated. And when we understood the how to deal with the situation, when everything started surfacing about the proper precautions to be taken, then we slightly increased our workforce and shifted the second team to the main frontline functions. So this way we manage the situation, and I think the challenge from now onwards would be how to ensure that in times to come, what would be the work which will be really required to be done, what kind of work would be outsourced, and what kind of work can be managed from home. So in times to come, there will be many things which will become redundant, and new sort of job roles will have to be created to deal with the situation.
Thank you, sir. I mean, for really taking us through a real context of what compelled to manage the things differently. And as we all know, during COVID, there are various stages we passed through, like Resolve was mostly crisis management, a great story on crisis management. Resilience is basically a 2 to 3 months outlook, because you don't know what's going to happen. Return is coming back to normalcy. So we will hear as we progress further, and reimagine is lessons learned and how do we take it back and weave it in our planning. And then reform is the structural changes that actually make the organization very resilient. We go to Raj Kamal. She comes from Axis Bank, a different world altogether, a banking industry, has a flavor of retail, has a flavor of, I mean, it's completely customer facing, and works in an environment where governance is very high, and your performance really can make or mar the economy. How are you preparing the organization towards the new age workforce management, basically the gig workforce? And I would like to hear from you in the generic terms, and then we build on the story going forward. Just
Thanks,
2 to 3
Sandeep.
minutes. 2 to 3
Okay,
minutes.
okay, thank. I will try to be. I think you've placed a very wonderful context. We are colonial HR, so to say. Not millennial employees. Chodo abhi to we are HR who are from this generation of coping with coronavirus, connecting, managing crisis. So all C's put together. So I would say we are the colonial generation of HR, where we have to be seized of the paradoxes that we manage. You talked about HR essentially has always been used to standardizing stuff, having templates, having policies, etc. But this is an age of personalization, and we've realized how. Work happened from your couches, beds, dining tables, etc. Wasn't limited to the offices, even for a regulated industry like us. And pretty much everybody is sharing stories on that. Third step, I think, is also about from looking at talent. You always say you need a solid citizen, solid talent management. You're talking about now liquid talent management. That's also a paradigm shift, that liquid workforce, fluid workforce, or whatever names that you make it, but you have to have a sense of flexibility there. The fourth paradox that all of us will cope and manage is the entire thing of saying, there is Uberization of work. Work will become more planned, outcome also overlaying with technology, but as well as you talked about governance, risk, trust, etc. under those parameters, but creating of community. And fundamentally, HR is always, as HR professionals, we are bound to understand why people come to work and what is the deeper purpose. And a whole host of work has happened, especially for a full-time employee who comes and associates with the organization for the longer term, to say, okay, there is purpose, there is values, there is cultural assimilation, but in a liquid kind of a workforce, flexible models, how does it happen? From Axis Bank perspective, I think we've kind of, the biggest change as part of this generation has happened with leaders ourselves and personally in HR as well, where we say work is happening. And for all of us, I think that is a fundamental shift. Second shift is that we also recognize that people are changing. As much as there's urbanization of work and what we've coped, etc. I'm not going to go there. He's beautifully put out how we manage. But I think recognition the world is changing, and how in that world can you also coexist with different models of management. And since you put a time constraint, I will just say that we've also recognized that hybrid workplaces, work from home, is a reality. So which is where for existing workforce, we said we will move, and we have moved any which ways to hybrid workforce. So there is a large section which is in customer facing. Even there, we've had rosters, we had part work from home and part going to the branches as well. But for people in administrative roles, work obviously hasn't stopped. We've been used to that hybrid workforce. But the other aspect is, there are various kinds of kabiliyats. There are various kinds of skills. And in solid talent management, one of the myths that we had is looking at a perfect candidate. Now we've got to say there are people with skills, and people will log in, log off, have choices of breaks, taking a break, sitting at home, doing something for their soul, and coming back. So you really can't have one template of planning for workforce, composition of workforce. You've got to be alive to that. That's why as Axis Bank, I think recently, a month ago, we launched Giga Opportunities. The biggest, play that we have is saying that for big jobs, for mainstream roles, we will be hiring people who are either going to work from anywhere or will come from short-term assignment. I swear to you, 30 seconds per, every 30 seconds we were getting a CV for the last 2 weeks. Every 30 seconds. And I am humbled to say maybe there is a need greater than what we kind of put out there. We thought it is a very urban phenomena, Bangalore, Pune, 4-5 metros phenomena. It is not. I'm getting responses from Tinsukia for technology roles, to somebody sitting in coffee plantations of Assam, has wonderful experience and wants to be associated. So geography is truly history. For us to say that all talent exists next to my pin code is something that we've got to go for. And that's the biggest change that we've got to say, as you rightly said, abundance mindset, right? Moving away from constraints to abundance. I think, but the fundamental question we should tease around is, will Uberization of workforce lead to some kind of decimation of discretionary effort or the community building, which is so critical? Are we recognizing the humanness less if we kind of Uberize the workforce? And that's a question. And I have answers to it, but that's something that we should tease around, Sanjay.
Wonderful. And so excited to hear the kind of response you are getting. And just a very small, incident My son is in grade 12 here, and we were Delhiite. We shifted to Bangalore, and it's very difficult for Delhiites to adjust somewhere else. I mean, it's not stereotyping.
I completely agree.
And we were struggling to get tuition, one-on-one tuition, and suddenly COVID came, and I didn't realize that half of his teachers are based out of. Some are Delhi, some are Mumbai. We didn't even realize, and life has become so easy. Second is just now for this event, I got a haircut done because GP is a very strict teacher. So I was careful. I got a haircut done, and I could see a real ethos of what holds in future are it's happening. The guy, his performance management, online performance management, he was so keen to get the feedback, and his excitement, his engagement. I mean, none of the workforce are our workforce, and yet they need to be kept at a very high level of engagement. So coming back here, Mr. Kaushal, can I get the first pulse if it's there? Just to see, it's a trivia question, not a technical question at all.
Okay.
Just to
Yeah.
see what's the mood on the ground, and
Yeah.
maybe we do a more nuanced discussion.
Avinash, can we have the first poll? Yeah.
Okay, sir. First poll.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm making it live. Live poll is open, sir.
Okay. So for how many seconds? We are not able to see it here. So is it possible for you to bring
I'm
that
taking
screen over here also?
it right now.
Yeah.
So can we make waiting for how many times, sir? How much time?
I mean, just 20 to 30 seconds. It should be instantaneous.
Because of because we're not 1 minute, let's say, but then put the post first. No, we will manage the time. You don't worry about the time. We will know when to close. Don't worry.
Okay.
You just put the post and find out a way. How do we get the chat, whatever the audience is writing question, how do the panelists see that? Because I'm not able to see anything in the chat box.
I'm posting all the questions, sir. I'm posting.
Please, no, right, let's do the poll first.
Yeah.
Because one delegate called me and said, this is the question, but I can't see the question here.
Yes.
So anyway, we'll sort it out in the first to put a poll. And if you have a problem, then we'll continue with the discussion.
Sure.
Is the question out there?
Your question is, sir. I'm waiting for your instruction to end the poll. Then I'll.
No, if you have enough responses, you can close it.
Okay, but then are you putting the poll or not? Tell us, so that otherwise we'll proceed.
I'm about to end the poll.
Okay.
End the poll, nahi? Okay.
So you'll share the poll, right?
Yeah. Then I'll share the poll, ma'am.
No, you have put the poll. Somebody has to announce and tell the participants to participate in the poll. So Mr. Kaushal should make the announcement.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Then only participant will know, no? So,
A poll has been put out and you have some options. Please respond to them and we will have this, do it quickly. We'll have another 20 seconds to go for that, right? Yeah.
and is it a possibility that we can see the poll here? Questions?
I'm texting you.
Okay, you're texting. Okay, no problem.
After end the
Texting how?
No, so
Okay.
sir, once it gets published, once they close it, then I think he will share it.
yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
Share it on the screen? Okay, good.
yes.
No, he said texting. So I am going by English word. Texting means it will go to a WhatsApp message or something.
No, sir.
Actually, live stream.
No, live stream is fine. Okay, so let's
Okay.
get the poll
Yeah.
results. Otherwise, we'll proceed.
Yeah.
And also tell us how to read the questions.
So this is the poll.
Yes.
So
Okay.
and now
No. How many people have participated?
I mean, it's almost quite
Even
balanced,
yeah, very balanced.
very balanced, and I think I lost it out again.
yeah, wait. Sir.
So it is driven by what this says is new work from home paradigm is driven by technology, changing generation, or the crisis.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Oh,
so I think
yeah.
So it's
okay,
even, huh? It's
it's
even.
quite even. It's driven by changing expectations and new generations. So I
Yeah.
mean, thank you very much. So let's have a very nuanced
Okay. So
panel.
end the poll. End the poll.
Yeah,
Okay.
we end
End
the
the poll.
poll and we
Yeah.
progress. So I
Yeah.
come back to you, Raj. Do you guys use a structured framework to, see what kind of workforce management would be required? What are various categories of workforce and this? I mean, what's their expectation and how do we evolve the processes and systems around it?
So to be honest, when we launched the Giga Opportunities, which is the platform on which we are hiring people, the fundamental construct that we looked at was work, really. Because I think for a lot of us, the biggest change that happened was also beyond the fact that work is happening, just getting into the cadence and the rhythm of managing our work schedules, right? Especially if you physically are not able to see, how do you establish not only the trust but setting expectation? Which makes me believe that the work, the way that it happened in office, there's a lot of unstructured chaotic element to it. You see a person possibly next to sitting to your cubicle, and more often than not they are the ones invited in projects or get the better assignments because it's just proximity, right? So one is how work is assigned. What is work really? Is it planned, unplanned, and how do you kind of make it more planned? And third is also the data, and you talked about, especially as a regulated industry, managing risk is also pretty big ask. So we segmented. We actually, I was more inward looking because I know the external world has changed. It has, it was, the underpinning of change was left to the organization. The pivot was really with the operating model that we had. So we looked at our work, various job families, personas that exist, and segmented the workforce and said, okay, I am comfortable taking the risk of 15 to 20%, not risk, I'm just saying that 15 to 20% in of our workforce should be this composition. There is a other balance, 80%, that will be in the hybrid workforce, and over a period of time, I'm sure it will maybe balance it out to 60 to 70. I think for us, when we segmented our workforce, we realized 60 to 70 is a good mix to have, which is on a virtual or a hybrid model. The balance 30 to 40 will be over a period of time, will be this kind of this workforce. One is gigs and the other is completely working from anywhere, full-time employees who can really work from anywhere. So there was a proper planning. However, and I'm just talking about the challenges and the questions that we face. One is getting the sponsorship of the people. The second, I think, biggest challenge was really the HR folks. When they look at our workforce management, and the partners in the relationship heads will say, okay, I'll manage the 60 to 70% of people who are, or 80% of people who are on full-time employees. The balance is like, you treat them like outsource or contract workers. And you say, oh, world, we were always doing it. I've heard people saying, we've always done contract workers. What's different in gig? Gig is just a fancier name. And that's the change that we've had to do in HR, especially my team, saying that, you not only have to change your selection models, but you've got to also change how you manage the aspirations. And third is performance management for the people who are definitely working virtually, but also the narrative on careers. Why join, why stay was how we got trained in HR. I think that's changed to why associate and why advocate. But in that entire journey of advocacy is what is the experience that the person is getting, beyond just the usual career narratives. And maybe the person is really, and when we speak to people, they're coming for skills, they're coming for the short-term experience, and then they're fine working with different kind of places. That adaptability and that understanding is something that I think as HR professionals, we've got to understand. So the point I'm trying to emphasize is, it is an N is equal to one world, which is a personalized world. Is HR going to step up to recognize that, or we still will have our own templates and frameworks to standardize our approach. I think it's time for us also to challenge ourselves, right from whatever womb to tomb propositions that we have. Essentially, I would say definitely urge people to look at technology and the experiences, but experiences to different kind of people, and time to reflect and introspect. Why should employees be associated with us?
Wonderful. I think you brought out some very important key points. I mean, I try to just reflect on that, on the readiness of HR itself to embrace this kind of a change. And as you rightly said, it's a huge change management, moving from a standard, our work was mostly policies should be standard to a persona-based, customized experiences, and moving from unstructured to semi-structured to a structured way of doing all this. Wonderful experience. I would like to share something. We, in Schneider Electric, as I always said, that it has flavors of everything. Big projects, fast-moving kind of FMCG flavor, and retail orientation. Our products are multifaceted. Now, maximum revenues we make from solutions and services. So when we manage this, there is all kinds of flavor that we bring in. And here is a company which focuses a lot on the profitability. And therefore, it's a constant pressure on us to create the cost, balance of it. And we look into the workforce management in a very structured manner. I mean, it might look pretty technical, but I'd like to share here. You just use, I use XY and the 4-box. Very, yeah. So you just see the people who are contributing to the straightway to the strategic health and the financial health of the value chain. And then you see on the y-axis the availability and the ease of hiring people, and we clustered them into 4 categories. We don't talk about it, it's at the back end, but for surely strategic job holders, critical job holders, specialists, and then you have people who are flexible, and then you have the core. Now, my experience is that on the specialist and the flexible, this is where we are trying to get geek and neo-gig. Somebody used a new term, semi-gig. I'm calling it neo-gig. That's a flavor that we had during COVID time. They were full-time work arrangement, but there were
we give the flavor of full time, but bring the elements of gig time. So, like part-time working and flexi working and all those stuff. So that's a structured way in which we are looking at. And honestly speaking, I was setting up the digital analytics center here in Bangalore, and headcounts were not very easy. We have a solid team of 30 people. And as I say, when you manage this, you have to look, my analogy is very simple. You have to look at the columns and the beams. Those are the core jobs that come on the permanent role that will also be challenged. And balance of it is through open platforms, internship, crowdsourcing. And we have done so many use cases, which is unbelievable. Last but not the least is that we launched something called an internal gig world. We created an AI-based technology platform. Of course, I can name the company. It's an Israeli company called Gloat who collaborated with us. And the whole idea is, it's called open talent market. Like the poll said, that it's driven by the expectation of the people. We deliberated. When we lose people, we lose to the world we don't come to know. So how do we kill the bureaucracy? We create an environment where no one has to ask for any kind of permission, no manager informed, no HR informed, no policy, limitations. People go and inform. And the most important is, whole lot of projects are posted there. So projects in NAM getting, worked upon from, let's say, East Asia, from South Asia, from Middle East. That's the kind of internal gig world that we have created, and we are really seeing a lot of excitement among the people. With this, I go to, if there are any questions at this stage, let's answer that. Otherwise, it will become a monologue kind of a thing. I think somebody asked, do you think HR also has to see as to how to survive and effective in this changing time? Many bitter pills to swallow.
TP sir, you're on mute.
Sanjay, I was just telling you,
Sorry.
we got all the questions pasted on the chat box here.
Hello.
So there is a chat box here.
Hello.
Yeah.
There is a chat box here. All the questions are pasted there. There is a chat box.
Hello.
There is a chat box here. Questions are pasted there.
Niru.
Sanjay, you are
Can you read
muted.
it?
Sanjay, you are muted.
Hello. Niru.
No worries, no worries. Raj Kamal and Amar, can you see the questions on the chat box?
I can. Let me
Okay,
ask the
so,
first question. Let me
yeah,
take
please,
the
please.
moderation from Sanjay. The
Yeah,
first
okay.
question is, I think there are two questions which are very interesting, I think. One is
Hmm.
the role of statutory compliance obligations. Do you think whether during new normal situation there is a scope to revisit the statutory compliance obligations, especially when you're talking about gigs and semi work from home, etc., especially the employer obligations emerging out of people working from home? Does that also extend that employer has obligation if say accident happens, etc.? The second question is, how do you see contract labor management emerging amid pandemic? So Mr. Verma, do you just want to
Yes,
talk about?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. The contract labor compliances. I think the what are the compliances? If you see what are the compliances, we have to ensure that the minimum wages are paid to the outsourced workers on time before the stipulated date, and the PF and ESI compliances are to be done online. All these things are provided in the Shram Suvidha portal of the Labor Ministry, and there is no need for any agencies to go and physically deposit it. So compliance that in that sense is not very difficult even in the troubled times of COVID period. So I think compliance must be continued because it is for the benefit of each and every outsourced worker who is working for any company, for the principal employer. So that way compliance must be continued, and as principal employers, as the organizations who are hiring these services, they must ensure that the compliances are done. There was some relaxations given during the initial period of the COVID period by both the central government and some of the state governments, but that were in the extreme conditions. But if you see the overall impact, the compliances are for the benefit of the outsourced workers, and the principal employers must ensure that they are complied with by all the agencies working for the organizations.
Mr. Verma, the question was also in the context of how do you see it evolving? Especially you said, maybe in the future, if once say the vaccine comes overnight and tomorrow we revert back and we are talking about a new world order, do you see a sense of some relaxation somewhere? And what is your ask?
Yes, as you all must be aware, the entire contract labor compliances are going to be converted into 4 major codes in terms of the payment of wages, in terms of their welfare, in terms of their growth and welfare, and all the compliances. There are 4 codes going to come, and these are basically to ensure do away with the multiplicity of 44 laws existing at one point of time. So I think that the central government is doing a very good job in involving the concept of the 4 codes, and all the 4 codes are expected to be rolled out maybe early next year. So I think in times to come, they will help both the organizations and the agencies in a very big way. So I think that in times to come, the things are going to be modified and simplified. So ease of doing business would be the key thing in times to come. And the simpler it is, the better it will be to implement, and easier for all the organizations to implement. So I think in times to come, the compliances will be there. And I will give you an example of NTPC. We are having about more than 1 lakh contract laborers, the outsourced workers working for our construction erection work or the operation and maintenance and other services. So we have developed a system called CLIMS, Contract Labor Information Management System, whereby all the entry and exit of the outsourced workers are mapped on the entry and exit, and their complete health mapping is done through that platform, electronic platform. And everything is ensured that their safety aspect, their capability to work in a particular area is ensured. So we, in a sense, ensure that all the outsourced workers who are working in our premises are taken very good care, and they are, in case of any eventuality, every benefit should be paid to them immediately and in a time-bound manner.
Great,
So
great.
one of the things I also would like to say is, especially in the context of gig, even government is looking at social benefits for gig workers, and that's something that we should be well versed with, and HR should be talking about it.
Very good. Sanjay, have got access to the chat, or Mr. Kaushal can help you with the question?
Well, I have access to the chat.
Okay, okay. Would you like to take that Kashika's question? Up to you.
Which one?
As a recruiter, what skills do you expect from the freshers who specialize in HR after the pandemic? Because he's a student.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, I'm not able to see that question. I'll ask it. I saw it.
Okay, okay, okay.
Sanjay, the question is, as a recruiter, what all skills do you expect from the fresher who specializes in HR? Because of after the pandemic, if the situation normalizes and we're talking about new workforce management, what are the skill sets?
That question is to me, and you want to answer?
Just ask. It's a conversation. I think it will be richer.
You are the moderator. You can answer, or you ask other two to answer.
Okay, okay. So there is a question like, when you're recruiting a fresher, what are the competencies you would like to look for in an HR, leader who's starting new, and especially in the post-pandemic situation? I mean, Raj, would you like to answer that?
This is a stroke.
This is like boomerang, huh?
Boomerang.
Listen, I have very strong views. HR has to evolve. If HR doesn't evolve, like every other function, if we don't get digitized, we are only involved in the transaction processing roles. And when we did the workforce segmentation, especially in HR, we realized a lot of roles are seasonal in nature, and maybe the specialization intensity is lesser. And I think the fundamental nature of HR partners is, for me, in this world, establishing productivity measures with a complex and a more diverse workforce, and diversity being the key part. Enhancing performance and ensuring that we work with supervisory managers, because that's the node on which this entire workforce management will either thrive or fail. So getting managers aligned as well. We've got to let go of some of the things. So as I said, if we are trained to get a perfect candidate, we need to know our assessment skills and science of assessment, whether psychology, behavioral science. That's something that I would urge recruiters to be aware of. Second is also influencing skills, and influencing and communication are actually pivotal in this world. Third is, as HR professionals, also no change from others, which is excellent planning and project management skills. But if you ask me, is the recruitment function going to change? Yes, it's going to change. There's going to be a lot of AI, data science, etc. behind it. But fundamentally, what do you bring to the table? Get your initiative, get your self-drive, get your perseverance, and most importantly, agility to learn and be humble about it, saying that I don't know the answers. Be open to learn all the time. Somebody also asked, is HR function ka kya hoga? And I've said, HR function mein, we've also got to learn. I learn every day from the panelists here, and that's why I come here. Mr. GP Rao, I think, is the youngest person I know. He's the most agile person I know. Learn every day, every time, from him. So listen, definitely read, but reach out to people. And even when you're networking, network for learning purpose. I think learning is the biggest skill and strength that we have. And please don't come to HR to say, do administrative transactional work, because if you're in that, those roles will definitely get eliminated. Get your coaching skills, counseling skills, all those skills and certification. Get your assessment science, because we are in a specialist role. Our need will be felt a lot more in the years to come.
Yeah, Mr. Rao, let me also chip in. Mr. Sanjay, I would also like to chip in about this question of Kashika. Let me tell you that the future of HR is very bright. I have been hearing some of the panelists in the inaugural session. I mean, just imagine HR is going to play a very big role in times to come, especially when there is so much of uncertainty. In fact, they are going to be the main advisors to the CEOs in times to come, and they can shape the role of the organization and the course of the organization in times to come. So what are the essential traits of the prospective HR professionals in times to come is one thing is very clear, that you must be able to understand the nuances of business. The other thing is the very important role for the HR professionals in times to come is going to be the talent management and talent acquisition. So as Madam was telling, talent acquisition is going to be helped by a lot of AI-based data, the psychological inputs, etc. But talent management and talent retention is going to be the key function, and ability of the HR professional to motivate the line functionaries and the employees to take up the new challenges, and to motivate them to take up the new challenges as things come, because things are going to be extremely uncertain, and to prepare them for being very agile and to be responsive to the changes is going to be the real challenge of the HR professionals. But very exciting, given the right frame of mind and the right inputs, the HR is going to play a very definite role in the organizations and for the country.
Thanks, Mr. Verma. I would also like to add, you rightly said, honestly, my prescription would be, I use a provocative word, prescription, is that please learn business. You know, the recruitment is not going to happen if you, I get very irritated when somebody asks me about a JD. JD is just for compliance. You need to understand the pivot of the role. You cannot imagine the rate at which you had to react during this pandemic and even in normal situation. If you do not understand business, I would stop here, fall short of telling better than many of the business people, you're finished. I mean, honestly speaking, it might sound a little harsh, it's finished. And at the same time, you have to balance, that's what I say, you have to, a paradox navigator, where the functional role starts and where the business role ends. I mean, you have to bring that a very good balance. Now, I have been asked at various levels, because how do you make this business acumen? I've seen many HR people, I mean, talking about business acumen and all. I mean, you have to really learn the value chain for the organization, the value chain of the industry. You need to understand the financial things, start training on that. If you're not doing it, read the reports, please try to see. I mean, if you dabble in shares, I mean, just enjoy. I mean, don't burn out your money. That's how you prepare yourself. You have to be ready 100% on the business side from day zero if you really want to be successful in HR. I mean, it's very sorry to see that when it's the manpower planning coming, are we designing the templates? Or we are helping them? You're the most trusted partners for the business people. And honestly speaking, in my 26 years of career, I mean, last 15, 16 years, I have driven it it's in a very, very good partnership with business leaders. And honestly, sometimes I wonder what people will think: operational efficiency or design, and you know, margin improvement, talent management. What kind of talent management if you do when you do not know what's the pivot of the job? I mean, if you do not understand the pivot of the role, you'll never be able to recruit a good guy. And trust me, the performance variability, and if you just plot this, the strategic value of the role and the performance variability. What does it mean? I just give an example. Maybe I'm, you know, like time is running out. In Southwest Airline, which is a low-cost airline, normally people feel that it's the air pilot who is the most strategic job. But if you put Mr. XYZ, the performance variability has no impact, because the value for the business comes in the turnaround time, how fast you can keep the asset in the air and utilize it. So that guy who's doing that, that's the pivot of the role. Wonderful. And that comes through understanding of the business. That's my prescription.
Thank you. Mr. Kaushal, there are a few more questions have just come in. Would you like to see?
Yeah. So, yeah. Ramraj had asked, HR role is more on stake than the business in the fight for survival in changing time. Would you like to respond to that, or you know, we are already done on the contract?
That's done.
I think we've talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Rather, Sanjay Kumar Singh question, I'll read it. Don't you think in this business scenario, the focus should be more employability rather than employment? Again, it's coming to the academic world.
Yeah.
Or this is one question. there are other questions also, like gig economy question is that this basically to Raj Kamal. In the context of gig economy, how has the scenario changed for 2021? I mean, in the future. So is there any change in the scenario with the gig?
I think the fundamental premise I would say is skills. And I'm actually saying for me, the notion of qualification is also perhaps redundant. When in the days of Coursera, or Sanjay was talking about, or my daughter is getting coaching from somebody sitting in Indore, or having the aptitude to go to Coursera, Udemy, etc., while at school and getting some certifications done. So the notion is actually more on experience and actually building skill. So build your skill suite. That is critical. I understand. I think one call out I will have is for people who are joining new in the organization, and if they want a full-time career, especially when organizations are saying, okay, I will have hybrid workforce, people will work 2 days at the workplace and maybe 3 days work from home. There would be a challenge in terms of, and I don't think we have the answers how people are going to learn, because a lot of our learning, especially when you come to corporates, is through observation. And that part, that mentoring that you get physically, that needs to be replicated in the virtual world. I don't have the answers, but what I know is for sure, the concept of job has changed. The concept of work has changed. So hence be open. In fact, when you say gig, the point that I was saying in our Giga opportunities, we are having a lot of people who are younger folk who want to come in and do the short-term assignments and understand. So I'm just saying, be open. Newer jobs will emerge. The entire fear psychosis that's gotten created. I don't know whether jobs exist. Kya ho raha hai, kya nahi. A lot of organizations, because the demand has contracted, they're optimizing workforces, so on and so forth. Yes, the currency of skills is there. As long as you are skilled, there is no dearth of jobs for you. But please understand the concept of work, lifelong employment, perhaps will all undergo a change.
So I will request the coordinator, sir, you ask one question. This is the last question and each one will answer in 30 seconds each.
Okay.
So you take the prerogative, ask the question.
My question to the HR leaders who here would be that going forward, we talk of all the AI and other things. What will happen to, and will the need for having empathy as a manager, would it be required more or required less? Or do you think it can be substituted by artificial intelligence?
Okay. Yes.
From Raj Kamal.
Okay.
I'm telling you, one of the big learnings for managers as well, the biggest learning I think of COVID has been emotions have come back into workplace.
Yeah.
There has been deep anxiety with regards to safety of our people, right? We've been essential services. Our guys have been in the field throughout the lockdown period. There have been COVID cases. Managing that life and livelihood has been a constant struggle. That is at one part. The second part is also people working from home have had their own struggles and challenges. And managers, despite all of that, this is, I think, the fundamental crucible moment for all managers, where they had to engage with people, keep on communicating with empathy, as well as not losing sight of managing the crisis and managing the commercial interests. So I am, in a sense, very, very happy. I've had so many conversations with people. All of them are acknowledging the emotion. So good news is emotions is back.
Okay.
The other good news is empathy is number one that you need to get in. Humanness in HR is going to be the mainstay. That's why I'm saying coaching, counseling is a skill that all of us need to be given.
Let's see, Sanjay agrees, reinforces.
Yeah. It's a very good question. So my take is I am a big advocate of digital plus physical. So there,
Okay.
as she rightly said, it will never be substituted. And second thing, EP said 30 seconds. I know him very well. I have to honor that. Is that who writes those algorithms? I mean, algorithms cannot be written. I mean, it could be intuitive, but there is somebody to manage and bring psychological safety, empathy in the workplace, and get the best of the AIs. So AIs are there for some work, but the empathy, psychological safety, and all those human elements is going to stay.
Wow.
I mean, the nature of the work and the workforce management is going to change, but this fundamental course will get more embedded and more reinforced. That's
Wonderful.
my.
Sir, उनका 30 minutes, आपके लिए 30 second. उनके लिए 30 second, आपके लिए 30 second.
I come from a public sector background, so I agree with both the panelists, and empathy is going to be the real sense of a thing in times to come, because together we have realized that after all, it is the life which is so important, whether it is the life of a contract worker or the uh, chairman, main director. It is all very important, and health and emotional well-being of employees should be the focus area for all the HR professionals in times to come.
Wonderful.
But my take is one more thing, that in times to come, there would be a more focus from public sector point of view, a more focus on the performance and deliverables, and the persons who are non-performers or less performance will be really worried for their salary checks and performance
Okay.
pays.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Kaushal Saab, now we'll have to close.
Yeah. I
Between
think
you and
at
Sanjay.
this point we can really close.
Between
Thank
you and
very
Sanjay.
much. Thank you to all the three speakers. You have done a wonderful job in the limited time that we had, 60 minutes, and you have dwelt upon so many facets of this whole issue of workforce management, the challenges which are really coming right now and in future. And so Sanjay Mishraji, thank you very much for doing this coordination or moderation role. And Verma Sahab he told us the way you have really looked at and how you have managed the contract labor. That shows the empathy that you have really shown for the people who are really at the they have really bore the brunt of this change or this challenge, right? And then I would remember this, that is quotable quote from Ms. Raj Kamal, and that geography has become history, right? So thank you all. Thank you very much. And thank you to the audience, everyone in the audience, and I thank you, the initiative team and also the thank you very much. Bye-bye. And we'll come after a break for the next session, technical session 2. Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. While we'll wind up, can you share what did you learn from each other? No.
Today
Yeah.
I learned from Sanjay, I learned the entire workforce management part. The third is, I think, for me, for Mr. Verma, I really understood the complexity of manning such a
Wonderful.
mammoth task, and the
That's-
entire power grid thing was
Great,
inspiring.
sir. आप दोनों उनके लिए टीचर बने. Sanjay, could you pick up something today?
I
from
mean,
bank?
from Mr. Verma, like how to do things silently and in a very complex
Yeah.
organization, and
Wonderful.
bringing those subtleties. I mean, that was very impressive.
Very
And from Raj, that how to still remain an HR person when there is too much of focus
Business.
on us to become a business, and we
Absolutely.
force
That's
to talk.
very good. Stay on heart, stay on empathy, stay on emotion
And,
in the business.
bring back the HR, connect the business. That's what I
वर्मा
learned.
साहब, आपने कुछ पिक करके ले गए आज ले जा रहे.
I heard a very important thing about the gig workers from Madam
Wonderful.
Raj Kamal, and also about the technological innovations from
wonderful.
Sanjay ji. We are also trying to do a lot of things
Great.
in our company in technological upgradation.
Thank you.
And I am sure that technology will also have a very big impact in times to come.
Thank you.